casework is dealt with. Social casework. Social casework. So in this block, there are 5 units. And first, we can deal with the social casework practice in Indian context. So, in the first unit, social casework. The first unit of the Indian context is described. And we know very well, social work means development of human beings in the society by development of human beings in the society or welfare of the society for the social workers do whatever help the society needs or the individuals need. That's what is called the social work. See, we all know very well that human beings are social animals. That means social beings, because without a society, no one can live. So that is, if a person alone lives in a world, he will not be able to live because he needs a society. So hence, a social setup is very much necessary. That is what is needed for the society, for human beings, are supported by social workers. Schools, then housing, hospitals, medical care facilities, economic conditions, and good relationship between persons and religions, and so on. These are all the things in society we know very well. So when we see, we can understand social case of work is a method of social work. Social case work as a method of social work has emerged from the time of industrialization. And it continued and developed in urbanization. So originally, it started in the nature of charity organization. It started in 1870s. Then another point discussed here is human beings. Understanding human beings. So human life is a bio-psycho-social phenomenon and derives meaning only in the context of social living. That means the human beings' life is worth only when they live in a social or in a community or in a society. Then only it will be worthful. A person is to be understood as a member of society, sharing commonly with other fellow members the life experience. So as Dr. Johnson said, once Dr. Johnson, it is the writer and the literary giant of the 18th century, the man who wrote lexicography for the first time in English, that is the dictionary. Lexicography means dictionary. And he said, what he said? He said, no man can walk abroad, save on his own shadows. Means no man can live alone. He needs another fellow. That means with his shadow alone he can't live. So socially, persons are essentially individuals who are physically, intellectually, and emotionally unequal and have different capacities, motives, responses, and tastes. That habits also will be dissimilar. But also, they are born and brought up in various or varied social conditions and cultural backgrounds and religious background. All these things will be different. Then, psychologically, relationship are intangible. That means invisible, complex, and a mode of mind or feeling of love, affection, anxiety, distress, frustration. All these things. That means people have a different nature and different habit. That is his relationship is intimate. Then his relationship will be intimate. So when a person changes, has to change himself, he meets difficulty. Has to change means in a society we have to adjust with the society. So we cannot be stubborn. Also, we have to adjust with the most important point is adjustment. Adjust with the society. For example, if water is scarce in one area and the people who live in that society uh, share equally, and if one fellow wants, I want more, I can't follow any rules and regulations in the society, then there will be a mess, there will be a problem. So he has to adjust. That is, human beings have to adjust in a society without which we can't live. Adjustment is a part and parcel of any society, without which human beings cannot live. Then modern society and social work. Here we have to understand one thing. People are not same in everything. That means not alike. They face a lot of challenges. What challenges? Some may not have enough food. Some may not have homes. Some dilapidated conditions. Some may not get even needed education and basic amenities and so on. But then also, when urbanization took place, the families became nuclear families. That is, there will not be many members to share. Hence, nuclear families suffer a lot whenever they face conditions. But when they live in, with more members, they can share their feelings. Then we come to the point social casework and individual care. As I have told you, social work started in the beginning or earlier times, ancient times, as a part of charity. Then it has changed. It has changed time and space. Then what? So material goods needed. So the social workers helped whoever is in needed, whoever needs, whoever needed help. That's all. And hence, you know, then they got chances of getting help from the social workers. So they have to work very differently, social workers, because social casework can be practiced successfully in a democratic society only. That is, whenever there is democracy in a country, there is freedom and self-fulfillment and so on. So, in the what is the nature of Indian societies? Indian societies, there will be group. So the societies are formed as a result of group norm, because in ancient times the senior members will form the group in a society, and they will fix the norms, and they will dictate their no norms and so on. So the youngsters or the next generation will follow up whatever is dictated or directed by senior members. Hence, what they will do, if a social worker enters such a society and tells something, they won't follow it up. They will obey only with the senior member of that society. So I can tell a very clear-cut example. Once when this vaccination started for any for many diseases, to curb, to prevent so many diseases, what happened was in remote areas, in the societies, people, because of ignorance and aversion to anything what is not practiced by them, hated all these things. Then they didn't allow the members of the society for what? To have the vaccination. Please wait, I will take my Bluetooth. So in the Indian context, it was not easy for a social worker to change the society all of a sudden, because the senior members will have fixed the norms. The elder persons will have their norms, and as a result, what will happen is they won't accept the social workers who work for the betterment of the society. An example I have told you, I don't know whether you heard it or not, so hence I am repeating again. That is, so in the case of vaccination, people didn't accept it first time because they had aversion, or they did not accept vaccination due to so many factors. One thing is ignorance. Second thing is that they won't accept anything without their code of conduct norms fixed by the elder persons in that society. So it was difficult for the social workers to change the members of the society. And in some areas in India, when this vaccination started in the remote areas, people didn't accept it. So they never got vaccinated in some areas. So for us, this to curb to stop this, what smallpox and so on. So they faced a lot of difficulty. They faced a lot of difficulties. The social workers. Then there is indigenization of casework practice. What is that? That's what I said. Group now. Social worker in India is very much aware of the difficulties of conducting an intervention with the client, because they will not accept anything which is not fixed by fixed in their norms. That's so. This is what the first unit says. Okay, this is what the first unit says. So we can pass on to the next unit. So first unit over, and we can pass on to the second unit. Okay. Social work interventions. And unit 2 is behavioral concepts for understanding the clients. Behavioral concepts for understanding the clients. That is, client means members in a society for whom the social workers have to work. For whom the social workers have to work. Behavior concepts, unit 2 for understanding clients. So the first thing discussed is human needs. So human beings are in need of many things. What is that? Psychological, safety needs, belongingness needs, esteem needs. Esteem means respect. They want to be respected, and they want to respect others also. Then self-actualization needs. So Maslow, the philosopher and psychologist, he has described these terms, but here we see psychological needs refers to what? Food, water, sex, all these things. Basic needs. Safety needs means safety from disease, pain, physical damage, natural and man-made hazards. Belongingness means need to belong to a group. That is, human beings want to love others, and they want to be loved. Otherwise, they can't live. Then esteem needs means needs to be recognized, accepted, appreciated, identified by the significant. Actualization means needed to work for self-fulfillment. These are all human needs. Then structure of personality means human life is successive mastery of stimuli, which are two kinds. That is internal and constant. Internal and constant, and external and continuous. These are. So Freud, the psychoanalyst who did who studied the mind of man for the first time, he highlighted the structure and development of personality, which consists of three systems. That is ego and superego. That means internal stimuli is called ego. And ego means what? Ego. Ego has to be eliminated. Otherwise, you can't live. Ego has to be eliminated because it is the worst thing that spoils a society and human beings. That is ego. That is I am everything. That feeling. Then superego. Superego means so that is personality directly responsible for maintaining the equilibrium of the society. That means there should be an equilibrium. Otherwise, we can't live in the society. So these are all the three nature of human beings explained by Sigmund Freud. And yes, given so many examples also you read. Factors influencing personality when we study that faulty parenting. That is, if parents do not take care of the children, so bad parenting or lack of parenting will lead kids or children in a wrong direction. Simply, we can say an example. If we plant some seedlings, agriculture seedlings, so that would, you know, beans or something, peas or something, that will grow, and the strings of it will wind in a stick or something. Otherwise, it won't grow up. It will grow wild like that. Support of parents are very much necessary for children. Otherwise, faulty parenting will lead to uh, damage in children, and then it will be a loss to the society also. Then socialization. So teachers, parents, then they are all socializing agents, primary socializing agents. They very much, they are aware of the children's needs, and they help parents and teachers. So nowadays we read in newspapers that children go on wrong side. Why? They may have some odd habits, and they may not have this socializing tendency. They will be introverts, and they will keep in their rooms shut, closed, and one fine morning they will be violent. There will be violence, and they may uh, do something because they are aimless. They become aimless persons. So that is socialization is very much necessary. Then overprotection. So if overprotection is there, it will harm children and the society. It will be a harm to the children as the society, as well as to the society. Overprotection means for everything the parents will be following it. And also, there is very little scope for the operation of ego functions like impulse control, tolerance, frustration, postponement, gratification, reality orientation. That means overprotection, ego apparatus. For example, you might have seen the birds live in the huh? in birds live in nature, and they prepare their nest and they lay eggs, and when the young ones come, they used to feed them. And then one fine morning, the mother bird will break the nest and push the young ones out. And it's a warning to them. You have to live your own. But man, human beings, man, what they do? They are always behind the children, even after a certain extent. So which the children didn't like, do not like. So there is overprotection and strong super ego. Super ego, the parents themselves have a very strong super ego. Then it is easier for the children to imitate them and form a strong super ego in them. At families, we try to inculcate values in children, punishment and intimidation. It's likely that the children may accept parental teaching in a superficial way or reject them or develop super ego, which is a rid of punishment, means punishment. Simple meaning is that if the parents punish the children more and more, the children may go in wrong direction. So the super ego balance will develop and it will spoil them. Then we pass on to defense mechanism. So my defense mechanism. Life means continuous adjustment, I have told you. Changes in the physical and social environment. There will be changes in social, physical, economic condition, everything. But we have to adjust with them. Otherwise, we can't live in a society. Socialization helps it for it. So whenever there is frustration, the consequences of frustration are many and varied. Why? What happened? Hostility, anger, destructive behavior, delinquent behavior, silence, restraint, and withdrawal syndrome, all these things are there. So at that time, what will happen is defense mechanisms start. So anxiety, some people are anxiety, having anxiety or anxious always. Why? They will not be able to cope up with the situation. So the condition will be swearing, cursing, using abusive language, and so on. Excessive eating, drinking, and smoking. So people with these difficulties, indulging in various physical activity, vigorous physical, sleeping, talking to others, then thinking through the anxiety causing situation, planning. That means these are all things which the human beings undergo when they are not having peaceful mind. So, such feelings of anxiety and caused by frustration. So it will cause painful emotions. Then there will be a lot of problems. So they have to be get rid of what the over anxious situation, from the over anxious situation. So there the social workers have a vital role. Then denial is shutting off a reality. Denial, rationalization. And then displacement, identification, compensation, all these. These are all qualities. Then rationalization refers to substituting good reasons. Displacement means when the direct expression of an aroused emotion is inhibited. The emotion may be indirectly discharged by transferring to neutral object or idea. For example, annoyance of a person towards the boss is displaced upon and taken out on family. I know you might have understood that is in a company, if a boss scolds one of his employees very rashly, very in a very hot-tempered manner, and he uses abuse words and so on. And what the employee will do, it will be there in the mind of the employee. When he goes home, he will not be peaceful there, and he may scold his wife, he may scold his children, and so on. That is displacement. Then sublimation means refers to behavior when displacement leads to socially valued practice or activity. That is then compensation is there from this. Then concept of social hold. That is how he has to behave in a society. Behaving related to position social group. How he has to behave in a society or in a social group which he belongs. There will be father, mother, son, daughter, etc. There are so many roles to a person. Then students, teachers, principals, and so on. So there is a relationship between all these, persons. So a person cannot behave in the society what he behaves to his father, mother, and so on. He may take more freedom, and he cannot behave like that to the members of the society. There are three aspects discussed here, and one is actions, second is prescriptions and expectations, which govern the relationships. Then evaluation or assessment. So there, each one has to perform his role in a well manner. So at that time, there may be difficulties, inadequacy, and so on. There will be defective habits and so on. But in the role of parents, then role of mother, role of student, then parent, then role of all these roles here to one person has to play. Non-fulfillment of needs, divergent role expectation, physical and mental illness, reasons for poor role performance. So if a father doesn't perform his role well, there will be reasons. And if a mother is not behaving well in his role, there will be reasons. And these are the reasons mentioned here, conflict and so on. These are all the. So this block 2 is over. And now we pass on to not block 2, unit 2 is over. We pass on to unit 3. Unit 3. So failure in coping. Failure in coping. Nature, so scope of social casework, nature of problems to be addressed. Scope of social casework, nature of problems to be addressed. Means how a social worker has to work. Then what are the problems he has to face it or address it. He has to face a lot of problems in which he has to work. Social workers across the globe practice this. That is, they help the social functioning of an individual and based one-to-one relationship. So, what are they? We can see. All human beings face day-to-day living difficulties in day-to-day living. That is with the various resources in hand. And majority of them, these are difficulties of living in which fall with one's coping abilities and stuff. That means they have to face a lot of difficulties. That is the persons, it may be beyond the level of persons to be solved. Then arises the problem. Then arises problems. Means when a person cannot cope up with his life, that is, he cannot face his life. Life means in the society, he has to leave. But there will be so many reasons. So at that time, the social workers also face problems. They encounter problems. So to deal with himself, he may need some what professional seeking help. The professional social caseworker views these concerns in the light of person's total environment. That person's total environment means there are so many writers and they gave their views in this. That means there may be unmet physical or physiological or psychological needs. Uh, there may be so many reasons according to Grace Matthew. Physical needs means food, water, shelter, and so on. Okay. Psychological needs refers to love, recognition, scarcity, security, opportunities, and intellectual emotions, and so on. Then problems which result because of unmet needs cause social dysfunction. Unmet needs. That means in such a situation, the society, in a society, the social workers first face a lot of difficulties. So they may have unique problems. The people who seek help from the caseworkers are those whose unusual coping mechanisms have been ineffective. That means they can't live due to so many reasons. So they face so many problems and they need the caseworkers help. There are so many reasons for that. That is lack of material resources. Material resources means material resources for without which a man can't live in a society. There are 5 categories. Failure in coping. 5 categories. That is poverty, unemployment, housing problems, and so many factors are there. Lack of money makes it difficult for an individual to deal with these situations. Then what will they do? So a patient, for instance, will not have a gone to hospital. There's lack of money. He does not have sufficient money, so he may not take medicines. What will happen is, he has no money to purchase even food, so he may not buy purchase his medicines. So in such a situation, persons face a lot of difficulties and the social workers help them. So failure in coping, one reason is lack of material resources. Then misconceptions about situations and relationship and lack of appropriate information. So misconception, because they in a society, human beings In a families, for example, in a family, families joined, families, when so many families join, they have become a society. So in a family, a person will have some ideas based on his experience from home and what he or she is told in the society at the time of you know growing from persons, from parents, and so on. So what will happen is they may have some misconception because they were brought up in such a situation. For example, in some remote areas in India, the people who live in and around forest, they won't take any modern medicine. So when these contagious diseases arise, what they will do? So they won't take medicine or vaccine and so on. So if they live in their community they alone, they only get infected. But not so. They come outside their society, mingle with the people who are away from their home, and they got infection. And that time, they may have the notion in ancient times. Now also in remote areas, this prevails. That is, due to some curse of God, this disease comes. So they need not take any medicine, but to satisfy the problems. There's misconception that illness or health related handicaps. If persons live with illness, physical, mental, or everything, that's one of the reasons for no inability to cope up with the society. Then there is emotional distress resulting from stressful situations. There may be so many stressful situations. At that time, emotional distress will be there, and such persons may not interact with others, and they may not like others interfering in their life, and there will be problems. That is, man can live happily only in society. You can't live alone. Then another thing is personality features or deficiencies. Defective features on the personality of one's personality not only create problematic situations for what, but also make one capable of solving problems of life. That is, a little girl is brought up by her mother in the strong belief that her father, who deserted the family, was a bad person. That all men are similarly, that all men are bad because the experience that mother might have got tempted her to generalize the situation, and he will tell her child or daughter that all men are bad. So what this child, the child will grow with the concept that all men are. So this generalized idea may get deeply implanted in the daughter's mind and personality. That will cause difficulties. These are all the 5 points. Then scope of social case work can be determined on the basis of the following components. What are they? One is person in context. The context here includes the social context, social environment of the client. Then that is person in context. The other is the concern or the problem requiring help. Illness, drug dependence, trauma caused by riots, a serious accidents. Bereavement means not having anybody, the feeling that I am alone and nobody will help me. That is bereavement. Role conflict and displacement. These are all things. That is concern, problem, requirement. Then the human service organizations that provide the location for providing help, like schools, hospitals, child care institutions, short stay homes, and so on. They are human service organizations. Then fields of casework practice. Fields of casework practice what? Where the clients get helps for their concern. The casework is practiced in a variety of agencies. Variety of agencies or human service organizations because social workers can't do it individually. Individually means they can do individually, but they may need some code of conduct. They may need some common program. Otherwise, they can't work. They must form a group, social working, because they have a lot of issues to discuss. That is real case of casework practice. Casework practiced in primary settings like family welfare agency. So they will help the people with social issues. In secondary settings like hospitals, schools, courts, etc., the casework function is difficult. People make optimum use of the services. Then that is casework practice primary settings like family welfare agency. In India, casework is practiced in some places in connection with medicine because medical care in societies where medical care is needed urgently. So there, the social casework is utilized on outpatient department, wards, and special clinics. For example, when an epidemic spreads, what will do? The social workers, along with the health department, have to work a lot in securing the safety of the society and in saving the life of the people in that society because the epidemic started and once they do their work effectively, they can survive. So, social work is utilized in the outpatient department. Yes. Heavy workload of doctors are there. So the social workers, so case workers help them. Then institutions providing mental health service. Institutions providing mental health service. It's like institutions providing mental health service. Certain institutions work mentally for mentally challenged persons, emotionally disturbed persons. So Psychiatrists and psychologists uh, are the main professional group in charge of care and treatment for the mentally ill or emotionally disturbed persons. So those institutions help social casework with the chronically and terminally ill patients. That is, in the case of persons affected with cancer, see a carcinoma, so there will be no return to life, there will be no cure. At that time, they need a lot of help because they are terminally ill patients. There are so many NGOs and so many associations which help them, help people like that having chronic disease which can't be cured. So at that time, they may help them. so many, so many groups are there for helping such persons because there will be no return from the disease for those persons. Also, to cure their pains, to relieve their pain, mental pain as well as pain caused by the disease. So, the social workers, the social case uh, workers have a vital role here. They will help terminally ill patients, means that is the terminal of those patients. They won't come back to life again. So there will be these associations or these groups will help them. Then they include palliative care. That is the task. Their work include. So in the case of HIV, AIDS have additional stress factor. Person suffering with those diseases will have to be taken care of. So uh, preparing and involving the patient in his future planning with family after death or various unmet tasks. Then material support. And for curing, so not curing, but helping them to relieve their pain from the disease. Then residential situations entirely different. Casework has also entered the field of criminology. So juvenile welfare bodies there. So this casework treatment is there for settling relies heavily upon efforts toward role adaptation, such a correction field work. That is juvenile juvenile homes. They help a lot, and also the case of worker is part of the world to which he is trying to help the client adapt to more satisfactory. So casework in children homes. Children's homes means so many orphanages are there. So there, the casework is very much necessary because it is a part of Juvenile Justice Act also to help them. Nobody is there to take care of due to so many reasons. So they have to, the social workers have to help them a lot to build up their life because they are persons betrayed or they are persons nobody is to take care of. Hence, the social workers have a vital role. Then casework in homes for the aged. That is geriatric treatment. You know, in in our country also it started. mm, what homes for the aged, because in nucleus families will be there, nuclear families. That means one or two persons, and the children will be abroad or somewhere in distant place, and the father and mother will be alone, and there may be aged persons, and they will not be able to take care of themselves. At that time, they need help, so they will be taken to such homes, and best treatment and best help for living uh, have to be given. So they are the case for workers have a right to go home for the aged. We all know it. Then school setting, where there is not having school, that is, school will not be there. Miles and miles, within miles and miles. So it is the duty of the social worker, case worker, to provide schools. Schools, the children in that locality have to be taught there. It's going to be taking care of them. So school setting is also the case work, and they have to work for that. So then case worker in the organizations working with differently able. So I told you differently able persons are there, autism, mentally challenged students and persons. They have to be taken care. So at that time, these case workers have a vital role, and organizations and associations will help them. So it is very difficult for them to take care of them. They have to be rehabilitated. Then they have to be given uh, vocational training, education and so on, because this vocational training to them will relieve some of the persons from disease and also from mental distress, and they will live happily because they need some work, and hence the case workers have a vital role in helping them, giving training to them or helping them. Case work in organizations working with women. In case of women, social workers are employed in family counseling centers, it's crime, women's health, legal aids, and family courts, and so on. Because women face a lot of difficulties. There may be rare cases, crisis in uh, crisis of women due to so many factors. At that time, the social workers have a vital role, and they will pacify them, and they will uh, give everything to cope up with life and come back to life alone, come back to life again. Then casework in organization working with the victims of disaster. So some disaster might have happened, fire, flood, and so on. At that time, help help of social workers are very much necessary. And that casework they may they have to help. In the field of labor welfare, workers in industries. They face a lot of difficulties there, and the social workers have a vital role in solving their issues. So, with this, we complete Unit 3, and we have two more units, that is Unit 4 and 5, that we will finish book 2. Block 2, that is book 2. So, components of casework. We studied casework, and now components of casework. What are the components? Person, problem, place, process, all these things. 4 P's. 4 P's. That is person, problem, place, process. These are the components of casework. That means in a society, persons live, and they face a lot of problems, and the place where they live, and the process. These are all things you can see. So, social work means help the individuals to cope up more effectively with their problems. That is social work. 4 P's I told you: the person, the problem, the place, the process. What are persons means we know very well: man, woman, children, aged people, and so on. That's person. So David Landy has identified the process a person goes through in seeking help or becoming a client. Just given clearly that these are all the points. Then the help seeker may realize that receiving help relationship with others may be and the person seeking help brings the helping situation concerns, needs and problems. Because people live with anxiety, concerns, and so many issues, and it is the duty of the social worker that is persons face a lot of difficulties. The clients are several types. Some need appropriate help. Those who ask for help for another person or system. Clients are of varied nature. Then some people want to block something. Then some need help for inappropriate goals. These are all, uh, you know, helping situation. Clients as they come into the helping situation. Flex Basic has identified 7 needs here. And you have to learn that also. Then the problem, person, problem. What's the problem? Problem, according to American Heritage Dictionary, is a question or situation presents uncertainty, perplexity. Problem is an unsolved one which disturbs any person. An unsolved issue disturbed a person. So when does when does a situation become problematic, or when does problematic situation become appropriate for social workers? These are all the two issues elaborated in this. So what are they? We can see. So it is the duty of the social worker at first to understand the concern of the persons. What is their concern? What they, what are the difficulties they face? Uh, they have to understand the problems very clearly. Social workers. So they may also confront with issues because the society will be like that. So uh, without understanding the real issues, the social workers may not succeed in their work in the society. So they have to understand the problem very neatly, effectively. So, how these problems arise? Small adjustment, frustration, sometimes. So, things are these dimensions how problem arises. How problem arises. Social functioning problem may rest in interpersonal relationships, inability of a parent to understand the adolescent child needs. In certain families, the strife and conflict is there because then when children, when they are too small, they will obey parents. But in the adolescent age, the parent may not be able to understand his or her very well. So there will be confrontation on this. Then the problems arise. That time the social workers can help. That's it. It's very true. Then, for example, the mother who did not have adequate mothering as a child and received no instruction in her children may not be able to properly care for her child because she just does not know how to care for small children. Why? You can say, in caseworks, I know on such person. So mother is an officer, very high official in income tax, and father also very high officer, very high level officer, and they have two children. What they did, they don't have time to meet and understand their children. From the very young stage, they are brought up in a boarding school. So they see their father or mother or parents uh, once in a blue moon. They may visit the school. Who are you? How do you do? These are all things. And they will give money, seeds, everything. Okay. So what happened is the children lacked parenting. They didn't get the love of their parents. So what happens to them? They will be more self-centered. They may not love others also. So when The mother of one such a young man died. That is, mother died. So he was informed. He said, "Okay, I can go tomorrow only because my father is there. My father will take care of the mother." So he doesn't have such a feeling of a motherly affection. He doesn't have it. He went the next day only because the cremation is only the next day, and he went only the next day from his place. Of a long distance, and the family has to wait for this boy to come for the cremation. And there, what happened is feeling, love. So there, these are the issues, and these are the things which cause problems. Let's see. The problems may arise due to discrepancies between the environment demands and personal needs, and also between the expectations of a person and demands of various segments. Expectation and demand, that means we may expect something and we will get something. So at that time, the problems arise. Characteristics of a client's problem. I told you, social caseworks are those which vitally affect or uh, are affected by person's social functioning. That is stress, psychological, social, physical. We have discussed all. Then multifaceted and dynamic nature of clients' problems